firming social bonds. So that twittering is what they do when they beg from each other. So they're kind of saying to each other, let go, I want a bit, I want a bit, let go, I want a bit. And here comes the lonely one again with his piece. I'm amazed that he's left to do what he wants with that, and nobody's decided they want a piece of it. There, now he's come across, he almost wants to share it. It's not something we see every day. In fact, it's something we almost see never. So there's a bit of a squabble. That one's playing. He's almost daring the others to come up. He brings it back, half offers it, and then says, no, you can't have any. Well, I'm going off. He'll be back. Now, Eric, you're in Virginia Beach, and you want to know what the success rate of a wild dog hunt is. Eric, very high compared with most of the wild dogs. That's my head there. I'm just trying to duck out of your way. About 70%, 70 to 80% of the time that they chase, they hunt, they will kill. That's much higher than any other predator out here. Look at those sharp teeth. Hair is almost entirely indigestible. Well, let's quickly go across to Tingana. Apparently he's playing with some buffalo.
Poor old Tingana can't seem to escape the shouts of all the different animals. He's encountered a different flock of guinea fowl, but now he's going to go and drink. Sorry everyone, the motion sickness there, but he's going to go straight up to the dam. Now the big buffalo have moved off. We've got an incredible opportunity to have a look at this. He's finally managed to get access to the dam. Here we go. An incredible sight in this evening light. And if I'm quiet, you can actually hear him drinking. It's interesting that he chose to drink there at the outflow rather than the inflow. You'd think he'd prefer to go where the water's a little bit cleaner. But leopards tend to be much less fussy about what they drink and where they drink. Because I promise you, sitting here at this dam, he just can't escape them today. Everywhere he tries to go, another flock of birds finds him and announces it to the entire world. He's actually looking really hungry. He's quite thin, and you can see that flaccid stomach that hangs around his back legs. Now it's starting to... Shush, Hardy does, my goodness. And that is not a subtle call. Everything is going to know that he's here. But he seized the opportunity while the plan is free from Pete the hippo. Pete's been out and about. And the buffalo finally left as well. It did look like they wanted to chase him away earlier. The monkeys have spotted him as well now. Sure. Beautifully trying to keep his paws free from a bit of mud there. Just so you know, we're still with him as he quenches his thirst, but the wild dogs are munching on their steenbok snack.
So we've just moved very slightly, everybody, and the dogs are not doing anything untoward, except one of them looks to be trying to mate with another one, which is a very odd thing to do. This is extremely odd. There's some kind of dominance behavior going on there. Hello Tiens and the rest of the Bosso family in Margate. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday. I'm assuming you're on holiday down there. You want to know if an impala has a different way of running when it's running from a wild dog. Tiens, no, they don't. They will, well, it has a different way of escaping a predator, I suppose, in that they don't alarm call. But the method of running is to get away as quickly as possible, and the herd of impala they'll just disappear. You know, they run so fast, they don't stop to worry about where the predator is. They see dogs, they run. And when you're with something like with a leopard, they will try and find where the leopard is. So they'll stand and alarm call and shout. With wild dog, that isn't the case. I hope that answers your question, Tiens. So close to us, of course, I'm trying to take a photograph with my ridiculously small camera. Cheryl, you're in Indiana and you want to know if the wild dogs eat the bones like the hyena. They do. Some of the bones, not all of them though. So they will eat some bones. They won't eat the hair like the hyenas do. They'll leave that out. Because the hair, of course, is totally indigestible. So in a small animal like this steenbok, Cheryl, you'll find, yes, they will eat most of the bones. Maybe not the whole spinal column, but the smaller bones they will. A hyena, of course, would devour every bone in a small animal like this. So they don't quite have the jaws for it. The smell of offal here is now quite powerful. And they're now just finishing off the scraps, and the adults may think about trying to go and catch something else. Although they might not. They may be satisfied with what they've eaten. Okay, I agree with you completely. To go from lying around dogs to a successful hunt in the space of a few minutes is just quite astonishing, isn't it? So privileged we are to be here with them. That's wonderful stuff. Wonderful, wonderful privilege. A New Sky, that's a wonderful Twitter handle. Yes, you say that they're the quickest hunters in the bush. Certainly they're not the fastest. Of course, the cheetah is the fastest. Now they're begging from each other. Look, biting on the muzzle there, trying to beg, trying to see if the adult won't regurgitate some extra food. Let's see what happens. They're still hoping for a little bit more to eat. I don't know if they... I think it's unlikely they're going to be regurgitating too much of the small kill. This is just wonderful to watch action like this. Beautiful animals in the last dying embers of the day. And of course we won't follow them at night, but it won't be dark by the time we set off from here. So we won't need to try and follow them in the light. Yeah, there's no meat left on that. They might try and crack the cranium, but I don't know that the little pups will have the teeth to do that. And D armor, just as I was saying that, you all know why they save the head for last. It's not a question of saving it, D, it's a question of the fact that the skull is very hard. And while a hyena would crack through that in a second, maybe the adults could get through it. It's a very hard thing, and there's obviously not a huge amount of meat inside the brain case. So, Andre, I'm not really sure how to answer this question, except to say that I know you want to know about bite strength and versus a hyena. Well, the bite strength of a hyena is about 850 pounds per square inch. I think the wild dog is probably sitting at about 400 pounds per square inch. I'm going to ask Kirsty or Jerry to try and check that for us, and I've just got to quickly call in on the radio.
James, coming.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, James. Are you still on lock with the message?
Yeah, they're now west of quarantine clearings, Craig, in between the Zoe's Road clearings and quarantine, in the thicket there.
James, are you still on lock with the message?
Then it's not copying my radio, which is going to drive me insane. So if you hear some banging around, it's me breaking the radio. A-firm, I am Craig. They're now west of quarantine clearings.
Copy, thank you. Are they mobile?
They are now static.
Thank you very much.
So we've got some information from Final Control that the bite pressure of a wild dog is 142 pounds per square inch. And now you see you get different information from different websites and things. The same source says a hyena's at about 1,100 pounds per square inch. Now it's very difficult to measure these things, of course, but definitely a hyena is substantially more powerful than a wild dog's. Apparently a human's is about 150 pounds per square inch. So roughly the same as a wild dog's. I don't believe that for a second. I think we're probably substantially less than a dog's. Now they're playing. Now they're excited. They've had their meal. This will be a good place for them to try and sort of kip for the night, because there's some cover for them. And they will be very aware during the course of the night, because lions, of course, are a major source of mortality for wild dogs. Well, if there's anywhere in the Sabi Sands to hang around without lions, Djuma at the moment is the place to do that. You haven't seen a lion here for 5 weeks. That one is still knocking around with his fetus. I'm just going to slightly try and reposition, but I'm not sure if the car will start or not. Brian, even money? Just reverse, try and change the angle slightly. No, the car's not going to start, so we're stuck here, I'm afraid. I don't think they're going to hunt again. I think they're probably quite satisfied with what they've eaten now. Small bites, not enormous big steak meals. And you can see the belly of that little one is full. It's having a lot to eat. Now they're very happy now that they've eaten. Just a fantastic sighting, this. Whew. I feel the whole bush around me sort of sighing and breathing out, and I feel the same. Nice question, Zoe. You want to know if we see begging behavior amongst the cats? No, we don't really. They just fight over their food. They don't tend to beg from each other at all. Hyenas pretty much the same, huge competition over food, not much in the way of egalitarian giving. And so, yeah, the cat's very different from the dogs. Many canids will regurgitate food for youngsters, and these, of course, are no exception. Here comes our friend who's got the last piece of his fetus there. Just to show off. He's obviously a bit of a no-mate. Nobody really wants to play with him. So the sun is now has now very clearly set, and the dogs, they won't hunt at night. They can't see too well at night, and so what you'll find is, I think that they will find somewhere around here in the cover to bed down for the night. This chap's very close by. Hello. He's only about 3 meters away. Still begging, still trying, hoping that somebody will regurgitate something to eat. So the twittering is entirely just kind of begging and pleading and asking and possibly insisting from the youngsters that they, at least from the less dominant ones, that they give up some of their meal. Now, a lovely question from Genevieve in New York, a very astute one. If the drought wears on, how will it affect the dogs? Genevieve, it will affect the predators actually relatively positively, simply because the prey species will become weaker, they will become less able to run away, and so initially for the dogs and the cats it will be a bit of a boon. They will be able to find lots to eat, and that unfortunately, so while it will be very poor for the herbivores, for the carnivores out here, the drought initially will be very positive. If the drought wears on, of course, and all the herbivores start to die off, well, then, of course, it will affect the carnivores negatively as well. Also, if the herbivores start to lose too much condition, so they will use all the fat that there is on them, they'll start to lose the fat on their kidneys, around their livers, And that is an important part of the diet of any of the carnivores. And so if that is removed from the diet, obviously then that will affect the carnivores negatively slightly. And they will have to think about finding other sources of fat, and that will just require them to kill more. So initially positively, and then after that it'll be rather disastrous. All the way from Arlington, Clarissa, you want to know if any other animals attack wild dogs? Ooh, now what? Now what? Oh, here comes another adult. I think the adult was just having a rest, but they think it's arrived back with some more food. There's another adult way in the distance there. They've obviously been on a bit of a patrol. Snuck off while we weren't looking. Two of the adults went off possibly to try and hunt something else. And they don't seem to have returned with anything. So Clarissa, just back to your question. Yes, lots of things will attack wild dogs. Hyenas and lions specifically. Lions are a major cause of wild dog mortality. Leopards not so much. Leopards will attack pups. Cheetah will avoid them like the plague. Right, let's head across to Tingana while everything is quiet here, and we'll see you just we'll see you just before it gets dark.
We just thought we'd show you a male elephant that popped onto the scene very, very quickly before we go back to the gorgeous Tingana. I think this is that same male from this morning. It's hard to tell as he wanders away from us, but I think he's that male that was giving the female a bit of grief earlier. And there's always a chance that he might come up and interfere with Mr. Tingana. Tingana is just finished drinking off at the dam. He's now lying next to the pan. Cheers, boy. That was a nice surprise. Now there. There we go. Tingana had a long drink at the pan, and Emma, you were wondering how much water a leopard needs to drink, or if it's gender dependent, and whether or not a pregnant or lactating female would need more. And yes, in answer to the pregnant or lactating female, leopards don't need to drink every day, but they do like to drink. So if there's water available, then they will. Although they can get a fair amount of moisture from the food that they eat. They're very specially adapted for dry season environments. So arid areas, you get lots and lots of leopards. Whether or not they're male or female doesn't matter. They will still be able to function and make the most out of the moisture of their kills, particularly in desert areas. So Tingana was having a long drink, which has been a spectacular end to a wonderful afternoon. Real treat to be back only a few days and to see Tingana again. I've really, really enjoyed it. A big thank you to Tevs for all of his fantastic camera work and keeping up with our glorious leopard, as well as to all of you, the viewers, for sending through your magical questions. We really appreciated it. Been a special afternoon, and I'm sure that tomorrow holds equally as many splendid opportunities. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and we'll catch you tomorrow for the sunrise safari. Cheers for now.
Right, so just a few more minutes, everybody. There is still the play behavior going on, and it's much darker here than it looks on your screen, and we're obviously not going to put a spotlight on these dogs, and they're begging each other. They're just having a bit of a play. Some of them are settling down, and very soon it will be time to leave them after they've given us the most incredible evening. There's also one there, Brian. There's one of the adults just off to the left of us. So one of the adults have kind of spread out. Obviously, this kind of twittering behavior will attract the likes of hyenas. And so you'll find the adults have spread out in a kind of security cordon, and they'll warn the rest of the pack if hyenas come up. A single hyena will be no problem at all to these dogs. They're not too far from those dens that we know of, and I think to the super hearing of a hyena, they could very well have heard this sort of twittering that was going on. So whether they'll come towards this area or not, I don't know. I'll find a look at them. I'm not going to follow them anymore. It's certainly got dark enough for us to be leaving them, so we'll just have a final look through there. Right, beautiful. I'm just going to give you a sense of the atmosphere. It truly does feel like the earth has breathed a sigh of relief at the end of that fairly traumatic but highly exciting wild dog hunt. And like I say, for those of you who are perhaps sensitive viewers, just remember, if you are a meat eater, and I know this might be a bit harsh, but to me it's very important. It's important for me to remind myself of. If you're a meat eater, that's what a carnivore does. It kills animals for meat. I'm a meat eater, and it's just a good thing for me to remind myself what happens when we kill meat. So, wonderful sighting. Thank you to all of you for staying with us. Wonderful to have your questions and comments. They always make me think so much. Big thank you to Brian. Thank you, who's now very acrobatically shining the light on my face. Thanks to Jamie and Tebbs in the other vehicle, and of course to Louise is gone. Of course, we've got Kirsty and Jerry in the final control. Big thanks to them. And we will see you tomorrow in the glory of the African dawn at 0500. It'll be fairly dark but very beautiful. See you then. Bye-bye and stay safe.